Okay, for the second video on slope-intercept form, we're going to be doing a little bit more work with the slope-intercept form. This first section is the opposite of the first section in the other video. This one gives you the equation and asks you to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So what I would do is I would just go in and put m and b on all of these because you know you're going to have to find those two things, slope and y-intercept. So I'm just going to go ahead and write all that because then I can just go back and fill those in quickly. All right, so for slope, you're going to look at the number before the x. So the number before the x here, or the m, remember it's y equals mx plus b, so is 2/5. That's a 5. I almost made a 3 because my next answer for b is -3. So if there's a minus sign there, your b is negative. If there's a plus sign there, then your b is positive. Let me make this 5 look a little bit better. It's going to bother me. It's a little better. Okay, and one like this, where there is not a coefficient, remember the coefficient is 1. So the m for this problem is 1. And the y-intercept is -6. On number 3, the m is -1/4, and the y-intercept is 5. So if you'll write down m and b, they go in order, m and then b. That'll help you out a little bit. This was a +5, so that's why this is a +5. All right, on this one, remember the m is with the x always. So 4 is your slope. This one doesn't have a b, so that means b is 0, and it means it crosses the y-axis at the origin. Number 5, we've got -2 for the slope and -3 for the y-intercept, m, b. And then for number 6, the same, very similar to number 5, we have +5 for the slope and +8 for the y-intercept. So if they are in slope-intercept form, it's very easy to pick out what you need as far as slope and y-intercept go. And in the next video, we're going to use the slope and y-intercept to graph. So that's why it's important that you be able to do this. All right, in the next section, we're going to do some converting. So this says linear equations will sometimes be written in standard form, ax plus by equals c. However, these can be converted to slope-intercept form by solving for y. So, sorry, my phone was ringing. It was causing interference. We talked about before that standard form is like the proper name, and slope-intercept form is the name everybody uses. So it's not really very helpful to have your equation in standard form, but it is really helpful, as we learned up here, to have your equation in slope-intercept form because you can use the slope and you can use the y-intercept. Standard form's not like that. So what we're going to do is we are just going to do a little algebra and get y by itself. So in this first problem, it's really easy to do that. We're going to subtract 2x and move it to the other side. And so when we do that, we get y equals -2x plus 3. So what you're doing is you're just taking this 2x and sticking it in front of the 3 so that it looks like these kinds of problems. So it follows this formula. So you're just moving it to the other side, and anytime you move to the other side, you have to make it opposite. So this was positive, so now it's negative. Okay, if we do number 8, it's going to have a little bit more work to do. This y was already by itself. This y is not. So same method, we're going to subtract the 4x, move it to the other side, and get -4x minus 30. But this one has more to do. Y is not by itself yet. So we're going to divide everything by 5. Okay? Now, if you put this into your calculator, let me show you what you get. It's not going to be pretty. So if you do -4 divided by 5, you're going to get a decimal. And we never use decimals unless we're talking about money. This problem is not talking about money. So you need to change it back to a fraction. To change it back to a fraction, you're going to do math, enter, enter, and that's going to change it back to a fraction. Well, this one was already simplified. So we're just going to leave it -4/5 x. So the slope of this line would be -4/5. And then we're going to do -30 divided by 5, and we're going to get -6. So the y-intercept is -6. So that's how you do that. You're going to move the x value, and then you're going to divide if y has something with it to divide. Let's look at number 9. Number 9 is a lot like number 8, except it has negative numbers. So this time, instead of like here we subtracted 4x, this is negative, so we're going to add 4x. When we add 4x, we're going to get -2y equals 4x plus 36. And notice that I'm not really adding. Like I can't make that a 40. 36 plus 4 is 40, but 36 doesn't have an x and 4 does. So these are not like terms, so you cannot really add them together. The adding just means we're moving it and making it positive. And then we're going to divide everybody, all the other numbers, by -2. This way y is by itself, which is exactly how we would have solved any equation. And then we're going to do -4, oh, that's not negative, 4 divided by -2, and that's -2, so we're going to have -2 for our slope in front of x, and then we're going to do 36 divided by -2, which means our y-intercept is -18. It's the same steps every time. For number 10, I'm going to subtract x to move it because it was positive, so I've got to make it negative. So I'm going to have -y equals -x minus 8. Now, remember, this minus y has to go with y. It makes it be negative. So what will be helpful is if you put the ones that are not in there, because -y is -1 times y, which is represented here. -x is -1 times x. So the reason that I'm having you put that in there is because now you realize, oh, I need to divide everything by -1 so that I can actually get y by itself. Well, -1 divided by 1 is 1, so you have 1x, and -8 divided by -1 is +8, so you have +8. But then you really need to simplify it one step further and do 1 times x, which is x plus 8. So this one is a little bit more complicated, and this is the one that you really need to pay attention to because we'll have x minus y a lot. Sometimes it'll be like this, and so it's easy to remember you need to divide. But sometimes it doesn't have the number there and you forget that you really actually have a -1 there and you need to divide by -1 to complete the problem. All right, and these last two will be a little bit easier than this one. This one's probably, even though it looks really simple, it's probably the hardest one on the page because of this -y. So this one, I'm going to add 6x. So then I'm going to have 4y equals 6x plus 20. This is a positive number, so you're going to leave it plus. And then I'm going to divide everything by 4. So I'm going to have y on the left, and then I'm going to do 6 divided by 4. Well, 6 divided by 4 gives me a decimal, so I'm going to do math, enter, enter. And it's going to give me the simplified answer of 3/2. So you need to simplify your slope by doing that. And then I'm going to do 20 divided by 4, which is 5. So then that's plus 5. Okay? So always check when you divide and make sure you have the smallest number that you can have. You don't want to leave it with unsimplified fractions or numbers. All right, and then this last one, we're going to subtract the x. So that's going to be 3y equals negative x plus 15. Remember, negative x is really negative 1x, and you should put the 1 there because we have to remember to divide everything by 3. So when you do that, you've got negative 1 divided by 3, which is a decimal. And so you're going to push math, enter, enter, and it's going to tell you, oh, negative 1/3 is your slope. Okay, and the x just needs to be beside of negative 1/3. And then 15 divided by 3 is 5. So then that one's finished. All right, so make sure that you look over this, that you get these notes in your notes packet, and if you have any questions, let me know.